Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the November 18th, 2008 meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority. May we have a roll call for the authority, please?
Authority members: Trayman.
Here.
Mincy.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Brazian.
Here.
Quintero.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Chairman Yusefian.
Here. May we have your report, please?
The agenda for the November 18, 2008 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on Thursday, November 13, 2008 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
What's next, please?
Next is approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. The minutes will be adopted as submitted. What's next, please?
Next is oral communication. Discussion is limited to items not part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the Housing Authority may question or respond to a speaker, but there will be no debate or decision, and the matter may be referred to staff through the Executive Director for an investigation and a report.
Mr. Chair, if we may go back to the item 4A, the minutes, I need to express an abstention because I was absent on that day, October 28th.
Okay. With that corrections, the minutes will stay approved as submitted, actually, with the abstention of Mr. Najarian. I have one card, Herbert Milano. Good afternoon, Mr. Milano.
Good afternoon, Councilman Yusefian, members of the Housing Authority, and city staff. My name is Herbert Milano. I'm here on my continuing interest to try to bring a sense of accountability with regard to the quality of life indicators. As you know, I have made a significant effort to both volunteer to maintain the project. It was denied. I tried to volunteer my daughter to help out on gathering the data. That was denied. I then provided a website with SharePoint services to try to propel this forward. There's been some limited use. I've attended the meetings, and a lot of people are not attending. Bottom line, if you were to get a report from a project manager on this project, it's slipping. The project slips significantly. And part of the problem is that no quality resources, meaning quality with regard to the availability of time, has been provided for this project. So the way that I see it is that this is a project without an ownership. There is no ownership from the dais that I can sense that will own to the need to provide and collect this information so that you can make future decisions with regard to the quality of life in Glendale. There is no ownership here. This project is not going anywhere. So, as you know, I have decades of experience in project management, and it seems to me that there is a significant cultural deficiency when it comes to the concepts of project management in the city of Glendale. Name the department, I can tell you there is no appreciation for the core concepts of project management. And I get concerned about that because when I read something in the newspaper, for example, in today's Daily News, with regard to the number of children of single-family parents, or single-family homes, single-parent homes, that 50% go hungry on a typical year. I mean, that is a significant statistic, and we should know what are the number of kids in Glendale who go hungry during the year at least, several times. Well, we already know that 50% of the students at Glendale High School are already getting subsidies for their lunch program, either free lunch or subsidized lunch. How is that not a concern for you? And that will continue to be my passion, to try to bring to you those issues. Now, part of the other issue is the situation about gangs. Last year in March, when I was running for city council, after hearing comments made by Mr. Weaver that there were 30 gangs in Glendale, I tried to obtain information about what is the extent and the level of gangs in Glendale. And we continue with this emails that I sent to Lucy Verpetian of the city attorney's office, and I was denied again and again. We don't collect that information. Give you a quote here. The city does not keep such statistics. We cannot produce records we do not have. And now I find in the news yesterday, in the Glendale News Press, that we're now going on a major initiative with regard to this significant problem that we have with gangs. Now, we know they're gangs because we have this graffiti problem. But we don't know the extent of the problem. And if we don't know the extent of the problem and we don't collect the statistics, how are you going to address it? You've got to start with the data and define policy against it, but I don't hear it. It is not a topic that comes before you every week. You do not ask the police to come in and give you a report on their effectiveness. But I do know that when it comes to development, they are your friends. That's your focus. align yourself with the contractors, with the developers, and so forth. But, I said, okay, do that, but pay attention to the issues that have to do with the quality of life of the residents and the stakeholders in Glendale. Have you ever had graffiti in your building? How are you, Mr. Weaver? Have you had graffiti in your neighborhood? I'm sure that none of you experienced it, but I have. 4 blocks from here, on a frequent basis. But are you addressing those issues? I don't think you are. I also made a request with regard to get some kind of validation, because since they didn't maintain any records, I asked how many people were arrested under Penal Code Section 186.22b. That's the penal code of where someone is arrested and who has been acting as an agent of a street gang. In 2006, no one was. 0. So I'm trying to validate, to obtain the information. I figured, all right, if I cannot get it through this means, if I'm denied the information again and again, and I'll send you the emails, then what is the option? Well, let's go another way, the quality of life indicators. But then there's no participation from the police department either. So it's a project without an owner. It's a problem without an interest from the city council, sufficient interest to address it. And I think that maybe we should move in that direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was the only card I had for oral communication. Oral communication is closed. We have nothing on business agenda. Number 7.
Authority member staff comments.
Mr. Draymond.
Thank you. I just didn't know, Mr. Chair, whether it was appropriate as a comment or in response to oral communications. But in any case, I just wanted to answer the one question that was asked by the speaker. Yes, I have, because I've lived in a variety of parts of the city. And in addition to that, as the former president of one of our merchants associations, we created a paint kit, actually, that is housed in a number of the stores in the district, and we coordinate with a fellow named Pete Rosenthal, who's made it he's just a local businessman and community member who's made it his business to try to stamp out graffiti in the city. And between his work and the cops unit in the Montrose area, we provided paint kits for a number of our businesses, so that when there is graffiti, we can address it instantaneously before it has a chance to be seen and witnessed. But also, the rest of the answer to your question is yes. Living in South Glendale and in Upper Central City, where I've lived both places for a considerable time, we had definitely had graffiti issues, but we painted them out immediately. I know that doesn't get to the heart of the issue you're raising, but it is the answer to your question. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. As to the speaker, Madeline, could you come up for a second? A question from you is, in your mind, do you think that this council or this authority does not have any ownership of that project?
Mr. Chair, members of the Housing Authority, I would disagree with Mr. Milano. Mr. Engel was here, I think, last week or the week before and gave you a report. He feels confident that there's adequate participation from the community. We also would disagree on the lack of leadership. It was this council that pursued the update of the project to begin with. Mr. Engel and his staff are taking leadership to involve community organizations and other city departments, and so we just disagree with Mr. Milano on this.
Okay, because I just wanted to reiterate the fact that there is definitely interest on behest of this agency to complete that project in an expeditious way. Thank you. And I'll go to our city attorney for one other item. We read in the paper that we have gone for 5 lawsuits with gang injunctions and so on and so forth. I guess the council was notified last week verbally because you have been working. Could you show me how big the stuff was?
I didn't bring the file with me. The file's actually in my office, but if the camera can pick it up, it's about a 6-inch binder of over 144 declarations.
And how long does it take to work on something like that?
That project has been in process for approximately 1 year.
Okay, and one of the main reasons that it has not been public is because of?
When you file a gang injunction, your main goal is to serve the gang members with a copy of that injunction to make them, or a copy of the lawsuit, to gain jurisdiction over them so that if the court ultimately issues the injunction, they then have to comply with that order. If they're not served, they technically are not bound by whatever order the court issues. So we need to make sure that individuals are not aware that we are about to file that lawsuit so that we can effectively serve them with it and bind and have them essentially bound by the court order should the court grant the injunction.
Thank you.
Oh.
Mr. Quintero.
I just want to make sure the public understands that the city attorney of the city of Los Angeles and the LAPD have moved in this direction because of the gang activities in Atwater and Chevy Chase, the West Chevy Chase neighborhood and so forth. And so the city of Glendale is joining the LAPD and the city of LA and working together on the effort.
Correct.
So the answer to Mr. Milano's question, to an extent, is that some of the activities that takes place in the police departments are not even shared with this council due to its sensitive nature. And I can understand why they're doing what they're doing, but ultimately, before they went out there and served those notices last week in closed session, they shared that information verbally to us, no documentation, so this way there will be no leak before they serve it. And that was part of the reason they did that. So sometimes you don't get everything that you're looking for, because if you let them know you're coming to get them, guess what? They're not going to stick around. That's it. All right. Any other comments from the authority, staff? Mr. Minister? No. Okay. Thank you. No new business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
We're adjourned.
And good night.